What I said is I'll explain in a minute why there was a flower in my mouth, but it's a very important marketing principle you're going to learn today. So today we're going to talk about why your art isn't growing, how to fix it, and how to get your art marketing on fire, how to get your sales on fire. It is Art Marketing Monday, and we're going to try to help you make some money by talking about the questions that you guys have submitted. Things like photographing your artwork, price increases, gallery exclusivity, going viral, giveaways, shipping costs, newsletter ideas, style changes, follow-up, rebuilding engagement, niche art, and so much more. If you're new here, I'm Eric Rhoads. I'm the founder of some art magazines, newsletters, conferences for artists, and other things. And I've been helping artists and galleries in the artwork world for a couple of decades. My superpower is the business of art. And I've been spending my career marketing, selling products. I've watched businesses flourish. I've watched artists flourish. I watched their businesses grow. So let's get this show started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhoads. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhoads.
So if you have questions and you want to ask your questions, first off, we have a bunch of questions people have submitted, but we also like it when you want to go live and ask your questions, because then I can probe and I can ask you certain things. So if you want to go to live, just go to artschool.live/stream. All right. You can also send your questions to me by email by sending them to eric@streamlinepublishing.com. And last but not least, you can ask questions in the comments. And if I have a chance to go into the comments, I'd like to get your questions in there. Now, I want to tell you guys in the comments, it's really important. Now, we're going to talk today a lot about engagement. And part of engagement is getting people to engage. Right? What does that mean? So like if you're on right now, every person watching right now should put something in and just say something, type something in, right? So let's see, what's your favorite color? What is your favorite color? I'm asking you a question. You're going to go in there and answer that. And that way, when the platforms see there's a lot of engagement, they're going to elevate you. They're going to push you out to more people. So when I ask you guys, hey, tell me where you're watching from today, and you do it, it actually helps the platform understand that, hey, we need to push it out to more people. That's why I do that. That's also because I'm curious and I want to know. I love it when people are watching from all over the world too. So we're going to get right to it. There will be a doorbell that will ring if somebody decides they want to go on live. And once in a while, we'll put that up, but we're not going to ask anymore. Marion Holloway. I had a really good friend named Holloway who I went to high school with. Marion Holloway in Flagstaff, Arizona. Is it better to post my paintings as finished photos or as reels? My reels get views, but my photos get buyers, so I'm confused what to prioritize. Marion, the problem or the challenge that we have in today's world of social media is that we have to do it all, right? So let me tell you about the good old days and the good new days, right? In the good old days, I would basically have to run an ad to get something. I'd run an ad in a magazine or something, and that's how I would reach people. Or I would type out a letter. Sometimes I'd photocopy that letter and I would mail it out to a bunch of potential customers, and they would get that mail. Once in a while, I'd send a piece of direct mail or a box or something. I did a promotion one time, Marion, where I sent out a box and it said live goldfish inside. And they opened it up and there was a bag with goldfish food in it and a VHS tape. And of course, that was in the VHS days. And it didn't say anything more. It just said live goldfish. It said to give oxygen to the goldfish, put this in your player and hit the play button. And then when they did that, the first thing they saw for the first minute was just this fish swimming around. Actually, when we filmed it, we had the hot lights on, and it actually killed the fish, and we had to put another fish in there. It was really awful. Anyway, sorry about that. So you want to look for ways to get attention. Marketing principles don't change. It's just the mediums change. Advertising is still a very big option for you. But these days, I have to have a team of people who help me with posting on all these different medias, and I don't do a really good job of it all the time, right? I should be posting on Instagram. I have Instagram set up to post on my Facebook, but I'm posting on multiple other platforms as well. And so there's a lot we have to do. In your particular case, for your question, Reels bring new customers, photos, regular posts keep existing customers engaged. And so if you want to grow your page, you want to do things that are Reels. If you want to keep your people engaged, post a photo. You could post a photo of 2 paintings and say, which one is your favorite? That's creating engagement, right? That's creating engagement. I'll get to this in a minute. Okay, next is Diego from Florida. It'd be cool if it was Diego from San Diego. I'm just saying. Okay. How do I raise my prices without shocking my regular collectors who are used to my current rates? Well, I think, Diego, the one thing you've got to keep in mind is that any business owner needs to, and any business, this is not just art, any business owner needs to find a way to ratchet up their prices a little bit every year. And why is that? Well, the cost of goods. Let me give you an example. I have Fine Art Connoisseur magazine and I have Plein Air magazine. They're very expensive to produce, all right? Cost of paper and everything else. Here's what's happened this year. Cost of paper has gone up. Cost of printing has gone up, and cost of mailing has gone up. So my prices have increased. I don't even know what the percentage is, but let's just say a total of 10%. If I continue to sell that magazine at a loss, and I can't make any money on it, then that might be a strategy. It's not a strategy that I want, but so I have to, in good conscience, raise my rates. Diego, I guarantee you everything in your household has gone up. The good news is inflation is now reversing. That inflation for the last 4 years has been really awful. Now it's getting better. The cost of eggs has come down. The cost of gas has come way down. There's a lot of things that have come down, but there are still things that have gone up. So it costs you more to do a painting today than it did a year ago. I know this because I just went to the art store and bought a bunch of paint, and I paid higher than normal prices for it. A lot of that stuff's coming out of Europe. A lot of that stuff, as a result, is getting tariffed. So now I'm starting to ask myself, should I be looking at brands that are coming out of the US? Because maybe they will be cheaper because they won't get tariffs. I'm still going to stick with my favorite brands, but those are things you got to think about. So how do I raise my prices without shocking your collectors? Well, your collectors, first off, they already are suffering sticker shock in every part of their life. Everything they buy is costing them more money. And if you increase your prices, they're not likely to balk over that because that's just normal business. And people who have money to collect oftentimes own businesses, they understand this. So that's the first thing. The second thing you can do is you can stimulate business by doing a mailing. You could send out to all of your collectors, and you could say to your collectors, hey, guys, all my prices, everything that I'm doing is costing more money now. And so starting on January 1st, I have to raise my prices by 10%. Just wanted to let you know in advance. And if you want to buy anything in my inventory, I'm selling it at normal prices before January 1st. After that, prices go up. So it's a promotion, right? I think that, you're probably overly concerned about it, Diego. And the only thing you could do is try. There's a lot of, there are books and books written on pricing. And pricing is one of the most popular topics that I get questions about And essentially, the way it works is you raise your price a little bit. If it doesn't impact sales, you raise it a little bit more. If it doesn't impact sales, you raise it a little bit more. And until you get to the point where it impacts sales, and then you back it off. That's how you find your right pricing. And of course, pricing has all kinds of tentacles to it, right? So like one of the tentacles is your price depends on where you're selling your artwork. Let me give you an example. If you're selling your artwork at the farmer's market, you're never going to get a high price at the farmer's market, very rarely, right? That's an impulse buy. Somebody goes by and they see something for a 50 or $100, they might spend it. But that same painting in a really good gallery, a really elegant gallery, might be a $2,000 painting. And so environment plays a huge role in pricing. So keep that in mind. And your image, your reputation, your brand. This is why I encourage artists to build their brand, because what it boils down to is if I walk into a gallery and I see two paintings that I really love, and I'm trying to decide which of the two I'm going to buy, brand almost always wins. So if I walk into that gallery and I see Diego from Florida, or I see Lori Putnam, and I go, oh, Lori Putnam is a very popular, really well-known artist. She's very desirable. People collect her work. I'm going to buy the Lori Putnam. Why? Because my brain is going to tell me it's better. Now, there was tons of research done on this, and there was even a period of time when they used to sell generic products, Diego. And you go into the grocery store, and it was just a white label, and it said green beans. And that was right next to well-known popular brands. And the green beans, these generic things, were considerably less money, and yet it bombed, it failed. And the reason is because people want something they can trust. They go, well, I know that Del Monte green beans or whomever are going to be good because I've been using them my whole life. I don't know if there's botulism in these cans. I don't know if it's going to be as good. The reality is they're probably canned by the same people. Everything's the same. Recipes are the same, but you never know. So that's where branding really plays a role. So if you really want to get your prices up, start focusing on building your brand. All right, you guys, now make sure you're engaging in the comments. And again, in a minute, I'll tell you about why I had that flower in my mouth. Connor Hayes in Montana says, I paint wildlife scenes and I just got invited to join a well-known gallery. All right, Connor, we need some sound effects. Yay. All right. He says, I'm thrilled, but the gallery wants an exclusive contract for my region. And I'm worried that exclusivity will limit my ability to grow online or participate in shows. Are exclusive gallery arrangements worth it? And what should I watch out for in the contract? Well, there's a lot to unpack there, Connor, and that's a really great question. First off, ask yourself this. How much business am I getting out of my region where I would be giving an exclusivity to? Am I getting now? Right? So let's just play some games here, Connor. Connor, get a piece of paper out and write some things down. You live in Montana. How much business am I getting out of Montana? Let's say the region is Montana, Idaho, and I don't know what the next neighboring state is, Utah, maybe. Right? So, or maybe Wyoming. Okay, let's say it's Wyoming. So write down those three states and say, how much business did each of the last 3 years did I get out of those states? And then how much business am I likely to get out of this gallery who wants me to limit to those 3 states? And so whichever number is bigger answers your question. Now, the reality is, it's not an unreasonable request for a gallery to ask for a regionalized exclusivity. And what you want to do is have a discussion with them. It's a negotiation. And you want to say, listen, here are my numbers. And, I sold a lot of stuff out of Utah last year, but you know, if you're not getting a lot of business out of Utah, why don't you let me keep Utah? And maybe you negotiate that down. Or maybe you say, listen, I want to be able to sell online, but you can negotiate something specific. So there's an artist here in town, Chong Wong, fabulous artist. And what Chong does is he likes to participate in this daily painting movement. So he'll do a little 5x7 or 8x10 or something every day, and he'll put it up there, he'll post it, and then he'll sell it online every day. It gives him a chance to make a couple $100s a day. But he has an agreement with his galleries that he's allowed to do anything under a certain size he can do, but he can't sell online over a certain size. And that gives the gallery comfort, because the gallery is probably like, well, I'm not selling, you know, a bunch of 8x10s anyway. And now the other question is about participating in shows. Now, you know, if you're doing a show in the same town where the gallery is, if I'm the gallerist, I'm a little bit concerned about that. Now, what you could do is you could collaborate with them, and you could say, listen, I want to do this show because I always make a lot of money with this show. I'm going to set up a booth in this show. Why don't you come work the booth with me? And I'll share that with you. I'll share my gallery commission. You guys actually come and sell at the show. It's good exposure for me. It's good exposure for the gallery. Let's look for a collaboration. All right. So that's what I would do. And in terms of what to watch out for in the contract, you know, everybody should have an attorney, somebody, and be careful about AI. They just made it not illegal, but ChatGPT just said, you know, we're not going to allow it to give legal advice, which I think is a mistake. But you do want to be careful about using your AI. I use it a lot to write contracts and get legal advice, and that gets me started. And then I can send that off to my attorney and say, hey, what do you think? And he or she is going to make some changes to it. So it's a good idea to have an attorney. And you can probably find an attorney who's going to look over a gallery contract for not a lot of money, a couple $100 maybe. And it's worth it, because you also want to have in your contract with a gallery, you want to have is there a time limit? If you're not seeing certain levels of sales within a certain period of time, you have the ability to quit at any time, or you have the ability to quit at any time. They're going to want something in there where you can't sell direct to somebody who contacts you who's been in the gallery. You want to have something that, what happens if you go bankrupt? Do you go out of business? How do I make sure that I get my artwork? Because that happened to me. I was in a gallery that all of a sudden they disappeared one day, and I had about 10 pieces in that gallery, and they disappeared. I got them back 10 years later because they were looking for me and they couldn't find me. Interesting. But it took them 10 years to find me. Bless their little hearts. All right. If you guys have a question, you want to put it in the comments. I'm going to go to the comments right now and see if there are any questions in there. Make sure you guys are saying where you're from. That's good. Let's see. Any questions in the comments? Go ahead. This is a good time to put them in. Put them in there. I'm not seeing them. All right. Now let's go to the next question. Trey Hopkins. Trey says, I've been posting reels consistently for months. Some get decent traction. Some never, nothing ever happens, and they never go viral. Meanwhile, I see artists with lesser skills implode overnight. I know I shouldn't compare myself, but what actually triggers going viral? Is it skill? Is it luck? Is it timing? Is it storytelling? Or is it something else entirely? Trey, there's a whole lot to going viral. First off, I got to tell you guys, don't put all your eggs in the social media basket. If you're running a business, you have to find ways to get business. There's a very prominent marketing guy out there who's very hip to everything going on, who is a trainer in digital marketing. And he says 50% of your business should be advertised outside of social media. And this is like a famous social media guru, because otherwise you're walking away from business that people who will never see you on social media. Another story for this. Okay, so the first thing about going viral is the first 2 seconds of your video matter. All right, so I stuck this in my mouth the first 2 seconds, and then I said, I'm going to explain to you why I have the flower in my mouth. Okay, so some people are going to go, oh, I got to hang in there at least till he talks about that, right? So I stuck the flower in my mouth so that I could tease it. I could say, hey, let's get some attention here. Let's tell you what's going on. If you have something you can do that is gimmicky, I'm running an ad right now on social media where I'm standing by, I'm painting, I'm standing by a lake, and all of a sudden I jump in the lake. That was all done with AI, by the way, but it's really working well, and it's really going viral because in the first 2 seconds I jump in the lake and everybody's like, why is Eric jumping in the lake? And so you want to do things that are going to get traction. Now, I noticed last night, I was scrolling around on probably Instagram, and I scroll and I had it where I was going through Reels, and somebody goes, hi, my name is 𝗬𝘀𝗿, and I'm like, next, right? They lost me. If I start out and go, hi, my name is Eric Rhoads, and they're like, next, right? But if I go, my shoelaces got tied together, what am I going to do? And then they show my shoelaces, you're going to be, what's this all about? So you've got to look for things that are going to stimulate stuff. I have one online right now that my social media person did, where he had me hold a glass of wine and I read a line about something about the fact, no matter how many glasses of wine, it's not going to make your paintings better. And that one's working really well. So the first 2 seconds are really critical, because people are doing this and you got to stop them in their tracks. That's what makes things go viral. And there are people out there who train in this. I don't really do that, but basically you want to tell a story. You don't want to be boring. You want to get their attention, and you want to look for ways you can get their attention about every 4 seconds, right? So you see these guys, like, he's here, next thing you know, he's over here, and both of them are on screen. Or, he jumps into a coffee cup. You've seen that kind of stuff. Anything you can do to get attention. Now, you have to be careful, because you have a reputation that you want to build and you want to uphold. And so you've got to do something that fits within that reputation. But I think, if you want to explode overnight, spend time on your reels. Reels are where you're going to explode. And also spend time on shorts. Shorts are really huge right now. I don't even know the name of the company, but I have a company that I can send them, I can upload my podcast, and it will cut like 20 different shorts out of that podcast. And then we can put those out on YouTube or out on other places, and small little shorts get a lot of attention very fast, because there's some people just want things moving by fast. So what triggers virality is doing something that people go, oh, you got to see this, right? And if somebody's going, can you believe what 𝗬𝘀𝗿 did? Or, hey, I saw this artist 𝗬𝘀𝗿, and he just smeared olive oil over his hair. Why did he do that? So you want to look for things that are going to get attention. It is storytelling. It is timing. You want things to change fairly quickly. And then that's how you go viral. All right. That's how you go viral. Okay. First off, I don't even know how to say this. We have this thing that we do. It's called the Plein Air Convention. And it is so on fire. We sold out before we anticipated. We sold out our first hotel. and it's a big hotel. That's like a big giant hotel, and it's already sold out. And we have arranged, get this, 4 other hotels for the Plein Air Convention. And what's happening now is people are like, hey, I want Plein Air Convention for Christmas. And so we're starting to see things booming. So what you want to do is go to that. It is so much fun. If you do plein air painting at all, or you want to do plein air painting, first off, we've got a Plein Air Basics course at the very beginning of it. And that's a wonderful thing to attend. But secondly, we have a workshop. We have one with Thomas W. Schaller on watercolor, a pre-event workshop. Those are extra money, but they're worth it. And then we have Andrew Tischler coming in from New Zealand, and that's going to be worth it. And that may be why, you know, we've got these 2 top people, plus we have Carrie Curran, who's a top artist who's going to teach the basics of plein air. She goes through oil and acrylic and watercolor and gouache and all of those things with experts with her. And then it's 5 days of 80 instructors on stages. We got 5 different stages. We've got this giant expo hall. We learn in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, a little later in the afternoon, we all go paint together, because that time of year it's dark later. So we'll all go out and we'll paint. And the Ozarks is outstanding. It's really beautiful. And so we're going to be painting waterfalls and some pretty incredible lakes and beautiful areas. And then after we paint, you go get yourself some dinner, and then you come back, and then we have evening sessions. I mean, there's so much to do. And it's like, the best part is you meet your tribe. You meet the people that you can hang out with and talk to, and people have made lifetime friends. So it's called the Plein Air Convention. It's in the Ozarks this year. Book it, and get it done before Christmas, because and tell your honey or whomever, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your boss, whatever, say, hey, you know, I need to go to this. It's life-changing. That's at pleinairconvention.com. Okay, let's go back to the next question here. We have Tom. Tom has been so generous, he didn't give me his last name or where he's from. Sorry, Tom, I'm not doing your question. Next, we have Elliot. Elliot Graves from Sweden. Okay. Elliot says, I ship my artwork internationally, but costs have skyrocketed. When collectors see the shipping price, most of them bail out. I don't want to inflate my artwork prices just to hide shipping costs, but I'm losing sales. What's the best strategy to handle high shipping fees without scaring off collectors? You know, this is a really great question, Elliot. It's very well thought out. Congratulations on that. There's a lot of different answers to this question, and you're going to have to experiment, because the reality is we're all facing stuff like this. If you're shipping from Sweden internationally, ask yourself, the first thing is, where historically are you shipping to? Are you shipping to the US? You're shipping to other parts of Europe? You know, what are those places? Elliot, data never lies. So I would go back to my database and I would see, okay, where did I ship things to, and where is the majority of work? Now, the other thing I would do is I'd ask myself, of my total sales, what percentage of my total sales got shipped versus or maybe shipped internationally versus being shipped within Sweden? What percentage? If the majority of your work is going out internationally, then you are in the international business. Now, you could switch that. You could say to yourself, all right, I'm going to try and build my business within Sweden so I can ship within Sweden. But, you know, it's a whole different change, right? People are accustomed to you. They know you. And so here's a few things that you can do. The first thing you can do is you can say, okay, what is a reasonable amount of money? Let's say your painting is $1,000 and shipping is $1,000. All right. So what could you do? One is you could say, what would somebody go, all right, that's reasonable for shipping. So let's say they say it's $250. All right, so you have a lot of options. One is if you know that this is going to happen, you can price your work at a higher number, and then you can say, I'll tell you what, since I have to ship it to the United States, that costs $750. I'll drop my price by $750. Okay, and so that's legitimate. That's a definite thing. It's not dishonest. It's something you can do. The other thing you can do is you can hide that. So you can say my price is $1,000, and I've got to get half of that $750. I got to get that down to $500. So you're going to raise the price by $250, and just make that your price, and say, okay, my price is $1,250, and then I'm going to expect that shipping is going to be $500, right? And so that's the thing. The third thing is you can just ignore it and just understand that you're going to lose some people that way. The fourth thing you can do is you can offer something. You can say, listen, because the shipping on this painting is $750, I can't lower my price, and I would like to, but I just can't, because I'm giving you my best price already. So here's a couple of options. If I include a second painting or a third painting, it's not going to increase the cost of shipping very much. So I will give you a discount of 20% on a second painting, or 10%, whatever you want to do, 10%. I'll give you a discount of 10% on 2 more paintings, and then I'll ship them together. And if there's more shipping price than $750, then I will eat that. So there's a lot of options. You just want to play with them, experiment with them, and try it. And ask yourself, go back to the data. How much am I losing? Now, the goal here is never lose a sale. And if you're on the phone with somebody and they're like, yeah, I really want this, or maybe it's an email, but I don't want to pay that shipping fee. The first question is, what are you willing to pay? And then if they say $500, you say, all right, now the question is, am I better to make a sale and reduce my price by $250 or $500 or whatever the number is, or am I better not to? And that's only a question you can ask yourself. I can't answer that for you. All right. Okay. Now I'll go back to this gentleman who submitted a question but didn't give his city or his last name. All right. Tom asks, do giveaways help grow an art account, or do they only attract people who never buy anything? Oh, there's a lot of research on this, Tom. And the research says that, I'm just going to play some numbers here. I'm going to make something up. Let's say that you have a gift, and or let's say you have a discount. So let's say we'll keep this easy. $1,000 painting, and you say, if you buy $1,000 painting, I will give you 10% off. So what's 10% of $1,000? It's $100. The other option is to say, if you buy this painting, you get this free gift with purchase. You get this lovely, whatever it is. All right. And you can show a picture of it. And the research says that gift with purchase is more powerful than discount. People like gifts. And the research says that you could have a gift with purchase that's only a $20 gift, and it will still beat a $100 discount. And so people love gift with purchase. Now, what you're talking about are giveaways to grow an art account. Now, a giveaway would be enter to win this painting. I don't recommend giving away your painting because I don't want to deteriorate your reputation by giving away something of your painting, but I would give away something else, perhaps. You can figure out what that is, but register, sign up for my newsletter, and you will be entered into a giveaway of a $100 Amazon gift card. That's perfectly reasonable. And you have to have some guardrails around that, right? You want to, you've got to be honest about it. You have to have some small print that says, one out of every, I will do an Amazon gift card giveaway for $100 out of one out of every 100 people who register, or one out of every 1,000 people who register, whatever it is. And you don't want to drag that out forever. You can change it out once in a while. You can keep doing the same promotion if it works. Great. Now, are the people who are looking for a free gift the type of people who are going to buy something? I would say it's you got to test it. And I know a lot of really, really, really well-to-do people who would go for an Amazon gift card to sign up for a newsletter. Wealthy people are cheap oftentimes. And so, and everybody wants something. And so, yeah, you could get good customers, you could get bad customers. You want to be careful not to put yourself out of business. And you have to ask yourself, if I get 100 people, if I'm giving away an Amazon gift card worth $100 and I get 100 people, will one of those 100 people pay me back that $100 in a purchase? And that's why you got to track your data. And I can't answer that for you. Your data, that's why you keep track of everything. And, then you can test it. Will the same thing work? Will I still get 100 people if I try it for a $25 card? Then it probably will work. So test everything. Test everything. Now, we have an event coming up. It's our next big event. I get a little time. I don't have to travel. I get a little time right now. And then in January, I do Watercolor Live, and I'm going to host that this year. Watercolor Live is the largest, we believe, the largest art instruction event in the world. And we will see thousands of people attending simultaneously from all over the world. We'll get 17, 18, 20 countries attending, plus throughout every state. And we get a lot of attendance on this thing. It's one of the best events in the world. It's 4 days teaching you watercolor from some of the top watercolor painters in the world. And you can see the names on that slide, or you can go to the website and see the names. A lot of different approaches, a lot of different styles, a lot of different ways that you can paint watercolor. We have an essentials day, which is an opportunity to attend, or you can do just the 3 days, but all 4 days are really terrific. Most people do that. Anyway, January 21st through 23rd, go to watercolorlive.com and get signed up, because at some point we're going to have to cut that off. See, we have to pay for streaming, and we have to buy streaming in bundles. Like, we'll buy a bundle of 1,000 people, or a bundle of 10,000 people, or a bundle of 100,000 people, or something like that. And once we get that bundle filled, then we have to say, okay, are we going to sell enough seats to fill another bundle? And if we're not, that's when we cut off. We just say we can't accept anybody else. So that's why you want to get done. And it's a great Christmas gift. Okay, let's see if we have another question here. Anybody in the comments got a question? We'll go in here, comments, and let's see here. I got, okay, here, I think this is from 𝗬𝗀𝗿. I got an order on several paintings from a gallery in the UK. I was in touch with the lady from the gallery. She wanted upsized paintings. It looked honest. The gallery existed. We agreed on prices. I now got 6 paintings and no sale. I tried to get in touch, but never reached her. Scammer, probably. I should have asked for the money pre-painting. How to avoid scammers? Well, I got nailed for a lot of money. I'm so sad to admit it. It was a lot of money. I could have bought a small house. It was ridiculous. And what happened is I got contacted by a friend of mine on Instagram, and I hadn't heard from him for a long time. And he was very patient. He didn't lead me in right away. He contacted me. We talked, back and forth, chatted back and forth. And months later, he said, by the way, what are you investing in these days? And I told him, and he said, oh, here's what I'm doing. And this is doing really well. And I said, well, how do I get into it? He said, you can't. Nobody else can get in. And then a couple months passed, and he said, oh, by the way, the guy opened one up. You should try to get in. And I did. And I got in, and I sent some money, and I was getting such returns on that money. I sent a little bit more money, and I was getting such returns on that money. I sent a little bit more money. And I was about to send a whole lot more money. And somebody said to me, have you tried to get your money out? I said, no. And I did. And it was completely a scam. It turns out it wasn't my friend at all. Somebody had taken his name, and they made a slight change in his Instagram address. They copied everything on his Instagram page, all of his posts, everything. They cloned him. And then I found him on LinkedIn, and I called him. He had nothing to do with it. He didn't even know about it. We hadn't had any contact. So you got to be careful. There are a lot of people who reach out with it's my wife's anniversary and I love your work, blah, 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 blah. And, there's a lot of scams out there. You go to the FBI website, they list a lot of the scams. So you just want to be really, really careful. How do I avoid scams? Well, if it's a legitimate gallery, so they probably sent you a duplicated legitimate gallery, and then you fell for it, and then it wasn't actually them. So, it might not hurt to pick up the phone and call the gallery and say, hey, did you contact me? And they'll say, yes, I did, or no, I didn't. And if they want 5 or 6 paintings, then you've got to make sure that you have a contract, and you just want to, you get your lawyer involved if you have to. It's not unusual that we send paintings to galleries on consignment. And the first thing I would do is I'd start calling other artists that are in that gallery and say, hey, I see you're listed on their website. Do they actually, do they sell paintings? Do they work for you? What works? What sells? Just ask questions, and you'll find out a lot about them that way. If they're legit, and most of them will be, then I don't see a problem with it. You do want a gallery who's going to offer you an agreement, because they're going to be serious about it, and they're going to talk to you about, what happens if, you're going to talk about, what if somebody wants a discount? How do I handle that? And, you guys kind of pre-agree on that. That's how you find out if they're legit. But I don't know. I mean, there's going to be scammers out there, and the scammers there are more and more and more of them, Tony. So let's see if we have any more in the comments. Okay, let's go up here. Claire D, who didn't say where she's from, says, I want to start a newsletter, but I have no idea what to send. That's not just, here's my new painting. What do collectors actually want to read? Claire, I talk a lot about this in my book, which is out of print. I have a new book coming out. Don't know when. I was gonna release it before the end of the year, but then I changed my mind. So I don't know when it's coming out yet. Anyway, newsletters need to be entertaining. And, it's the equivalent of that person I talked about on Instagram that said, here's my newsletter. Your subject line is the most important thing you do. Well, first off, it should say, coming from Claire D, artist. And then your subject line should be something of interest. How to make your collection worth more money, right? What do collectors want? They want how to make it more money, or they want to make sure that they're hanging it properly, or they want to make sure it's protected, how to protect your paintings, whatever. Look for an excuse to come up with an article of something like that. And then, and put that in the subject line. If your subject line says, my latest newsletter, you're throwing your money away. Even if it doesn't cost you any money, you're throwing your money away, because you're not going to get anybody to open it. And it's like, oh, this is boring, I'm not opening it. Everything is about entertaining people. Always entertain. All right. Look for something that's going to get their attention. All right. What collectors want to read is things that they want to read about you because they signed up for your newsletter, but make it entertaining. Don't bore them to tears. Make it photocentric, show a lot of paintings, but at least have one thing in there that collectors are going to go, oh, I got to open this to read it. Mulan Zhang from Australia. All right, Mulan. I recently transitioned from a watercolorist to an oil painter, and my longtime followers seemed confused. My engagement dropped, and a few collectors have reached out asking if I'm abandoning my signature style. How do I communicate a major style or medium change without losing the audience I worked so hard to build? You're not going to like my answer, Mulan. You can't. You can't. Listen, if somebody resonates, let me give you an example. If I resonate with Thomas W. Schaller, one of the best watercolor artists in the world, and I love his work and I love his style, and all of a sudden Thomas says, you know what, I've decided to start painting in acrylic, or I've decided to start painting in oil. He might get my attention, but if I collect his stuff or I like his stuff and his signature style, I'm not gonna buy into that. I'm gonna go, okay, well, I got some good ones from him. Now I got to find somebody else, unless he's going to continue to offer those as well. And you know, Tom Schaller has this beautiful acrylic painting that he did that hangs behind his desk. It's gorgeous, but it's completely different than his other style. And so if you're going to switch styles, or even what you're known for, you got to be really careful about that. Now, I'm not suggesting you don't do it. You got to do what your heart tells you to do, but you have to understand that you're known for something, and if you're not doing that, you're rebranding, right? And so I don't know that there's a really great way to do it. You can say, hey, now I'm also doing some oil paintings and want to show you what I'm doing. But if you give up what you were doing before, that's a red flag for them. All right. So I don't know how you communicate that. Now, I do know an artist who is very successful. He makes $5 million a year. And he decided that he wanted to make $10 million a year, but he couldn't figure out how to get there with his own art. So I said to him, well, why don't you create some different kind of art and come up with a pseudonym and separate website, separate name, separate style, don't show your picture, and become this pseudonym. And he did that. And he's making a ton of money with both his old website that's based on his name and his new website based on his new stage name. Stage names are common. Actors use them all the time. Artists use them all the time. I know artists who have 2 or 3 stage names. They're known, really known well with their main name, but they also do other things. And there are other artists like Brian Mark Taylor, for instance. Brian Mark Taylor loves to do fantasy art, and he posts that fantasy art, and he has managed to bridge that gap somehow. You might study what he does and see what he's done. But not everybody's going to go that route. And so you want to make sure that if you've built a business, let's put this into a different analogy. You've built a business selling vacuum cleaners, and your vacuum cleaners are the best vacuum cleaners in the world. And then you decide you're going to do a car. Now, if you're the guy in England, I can't think of his name, who has these incredible tech breakthroughs. If he built a car, I might go, yeah, that might be worth looking at his car. If Apple built a car, it was like they were going to do a car. It's like, okay, I would look at Apple's car. But if Apple decided to sell pizza, I'm like, no, doesn't fit for me. So you've just got to keep in mind, what does my brand stand for, and where am I at with that? Okay, I want to tell you guys something else. I was looking online at the cameras this morning of the Adirondacks, where I live in the summertime, and the snow was piled up. It was really, 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 really snowy. And I thought, man, I am glad I don't have to paint in that. And I'm a fair weather painter. You know, I'll paint in snow once a year, maybe, but I don't really want to be cold. I don't want my feet to be cold. I want to paint. I'm kind of fair weather, right? So I came up with something because I heard from so many people. I do these retreats. I do 3 retreats a year. I do one in the spring in the Adirondacks, and that's the one I've been doing for like 15 or 20 years. And everybody gets together and we hang out and we paint for a week. We feed you, we put you up, we sit up at night, we play games, we play music. We do a lot of fun. It's like summer camp for adults. We don't allow kids. You got to be at least, I think, 16 to attend. And even then, we're pretty careful about that. And it's mostly people who are over 30. Not, you know, there's some people under 30, but mostly people over 30 and all age groups. Anyway, we do that 3 times a year. We do once in the spring, we do once in the fall. We just finished our fall event. And then we decided, people are saying like, I want to go painting in the winter. I don't want to put up with cold weather. And so we thought about it. We asked people like, when should we do this? And they're like, February. February is always the worst. That's when the power goes down. That's when the airports get closed. It's really the worst possible time. You're stuck inside. It's gloomy. You can't go painting anyway. So we put this thing together called Winter Escape, and it's to escape winter. And we do it in tropical or warm areas. Last year we did it in St. Augustine, Florida. This year, we're doing it in 75-degree Hilton Head Island and Savannah, Georgia. And we don't have a lot of seats left for this one. We have, I don't actually know, but I less than 20. And so Hilton Head is spectacular. Savannah is spectacular. We've worked with local artists to find all the great painting spots. And we go out together, and you need a car, or you can ride with somebody who's there. And you're going to make some great friends. We're going to paint all day. We're going to be warm and sunny, have our feet in the toes, drinking drinks with umbrellas in them. I'm not a drinker, so I'll put something like watermelon juice in mine. But, and we're just going to have a great time. And that's coming up. And that would be a good Christmas present for yourself. But get that done, because it's coming up in February, which will be here before we know it. And it's going to be spectacular. I've never been to Hilton Head. I'm looking forward to it. Been to Savannah, and I love Savannah, and I'm looking forward to painting. There's so many droopy trees and beautiful architecture and beautiful water. So make sure to come. Winter Escape. Just go to winterartescape.com. All right, we've got time for one more, and let's see if we can find one. And I'm not going to get to all of them. I'm sorry. I've been in, Rowan M says, I've been in 3 local art shows where people loved my work but didn't buy. How do I follow up with those people without feeling pushy? Well, you know, I have a whole new thing on art shows in my new book. And I've got some friends. I've got one friend who's made over $10 million in his lifetime working at art shows. He understands how to do it. And there's a whole lot to it. And I can't answer that question briefly. But, you know, if somebody express interest, what most people do is they hand them a card with a picture of something on it, maybe a picture of the painting. I wouldn't do that. But here's what I would do. And this is what I like to do. If somebody's really interested, but they don't buy, say, hey, listen, would you like a picture of that painting? And they'll say, yeah, I would. Say, okay, here, stand in front of it. And I take my camera. I take their picture and I say, give me your text. And then I'll text it to them. And I'll say, you know, I'm in booth 23A in case you decide you want it. And then now they have, because you get to an art show and you see a lot of things, you can't remember what you've seen. You can't remember where it was. And then you have something that says, oh, booth 23A. Oh, I really did like that. And you could say, you know, it's $5,000 or $200 or whatever. And I have prints available of this. And then send that to them right away. Now they have it in their phone. Now what you can do is you can time it. You can say, okay, how long for them to get through the show? They're going to be another hour or so, maybe in 45 minutes. You text them, say, hey, if you're still to show and you're still interested in this painting, just want you to be aware I'm in booth 23A. All right. That's not pushy. That's just informational. And then what you can do after the show, you can do it one more time. I wouldn't do it more than that. You just say, hey, I know you were busy at the show. You had interest in this painting. And so just sending you a picture again. And this is how to reach me in case you decide you're interested. That's all you do. That's all you do. Okay. Yara, we do have room for one more. Yara from Texas. My Instagram engagement dies every time I take a week off. How do I rebuild momentum without posting every single day? Listen, Yara, you should post every single day. We have a very expensive, I don't know how expensive, I'm afraid to ask. But when I first heard it, it was like, wow, that's a lot of money. We have a scheduling system, and we can schedule things so that they get put on Instagram or X or Facebook or whatever if we're going to be gone, right? And or if, you know, our social media person, Christina, who is a rock star, if she, you know, she knows she's going to be traveling to the Plein Air Convention, or she knows she's just got to get a bunch of stuff done, she just goes in and schedules a bunch of stuff in advance. She does it all the time. There are scheduling softwares that you can buy that are inexpensive, that aren't going to cost you a lot of money, that will solve that problem. So if you're going to be gone, but you should be posting something every day. I am trying very hard to post something every day of me painting somewhere. And that's not for new customers. I do reels for new customers, but I want to try to post something new every day. By the way, if you guys are not following me on Instagram, what's the story? You can subscribe to this program on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and look up Art School Live. We just hit 150,000 followers. Thank you. And we've just hit 18 million views. Thank you. And so follow me at Eric Rhoads on Instagram so you can see what I do. And I don't use a scheduler. My social media person does, but she's not on my account. I should, because I kind of ebb and flow, and I'm not tracking my engagement like I should be. But that's the kind of thing you need to do. All right. Rebecca M. One last one is it worth paying for a professional professional photo shoot for my studio and artwork, or will iPhone photos do just fine? For marketing, iPhone photos are fine if they're good enough. For keeping high quality images for a future book, I would get them professionally scanned or professionally shot. If you're needing them for galleries, I'd get them professionally done. I don't do that, and I should. I just don't want to take the time. Okay, guys, well, we are here every weekday. On Mondays, we do marketing. On Fridays, we do feedback, teaching you how to make your paintings better. In between, we have guest artists, and this week we have some great guest artists coming. So we're here every weekday at 12 noon Eastern time. That's New York City time. And we would love it if you subscribe to this program. We have a free gift for everybody who's new. Just go to 97artsecrets.com/ASL. That stands for Art School Live. That way we can tell where you came from, and you get a free sample video. It's a couple hours of some of the best videos we've produced at our site, painttube.tv. I wonder if our Black Friday sale is still on today. We did a big Black Friday sale over the weekend. You can find out if you go to painttube.tv. If there's a sale still going on, it'll say so. I know we dropped our prices considerably over the weekend, and so it's probably still going on because today is technically Cyber Monday. So check it out at painttube.tv, not .com, .tv. Okay, guys, well, thank you for being here. I love being back, and we're going to have a really great holiday season. We've got some great artists lined up for December, and then we're going to have a big Christmas show and a big New Year's show. We're going to have a show every day during Christmas break. We're going to do some fun things. So thank you. If you, by the way, didn't get a chance, I actually did painting the other day. I never do painting on this show myself, but we had a couple of guests drop out, and so I did painting. I did gouache painting. One of them was a painting on brown paper. Just look through. By the way, if you watch any 5 shows, you can get the confidence you need to learn to paint. And we have hundreds of shows, thousands probably, and you can learn how to paint with this show for free. Then if you want to go to the next level and get some really, really top tier instruction, go to painttube.tv. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you mañana.